Hi class, and welcome to week 3 of your Hospitality Facilities Management class. This week our topics are environmental and energy management, the hotel industry's impact on sustainability, and LEED and Green Seal certifications. At the end of this week, you will be able to understand the importance of adopting sustainable and environmentally friendly practices in the hotel industry, understand why hotels choose to go green, understand water conservation and ways the hotel industry can reduce their use of water, understand energy conservation and ways the hotel industry can conserve energy, describe the components and concept of a waste management program, and the differences between LEED and Green Seal certifications. When we talk about sustainability as it pertains to the hotel industry and as it pertains to us as humans, sustainability is an easy concept to understand. It means one shouldn't take more than it gives back and should not sacrifice tomorrow for today's needs. You can also think of sustainability as fulfilling the needs of the current population without compromising the needs of future populations. There should be a balance between our economic stability, the care of the environment, and our social well-being. Now, more than ever, big businesses in any industry have a responsibility to initiate and implement operational practices throughout their business that will reduce their water and energy consumption, as well as focus on waste management and sustainable practices that will limit the business's negative impact on the environment. Hotel corporations, owners, and managers must be cognizant of the role they play in implementing policies and providing resources for their properties to reduce and conserve their use of water, energy, and manage waste. Implementing sustainable practices in a hotel is proven to increase the economic health of the property. Some of these economic benefits include utility savings on water, electricity, gas, and waste bills, overall reduction of waste output, reduced labor costs, reduced employee absenteeism, increased productivity, and positive PR. The housekeeping manager has a very important role in the property's environmental policies. Their job responsibilities include supporting sustainability initiatives, green philosophies, and programs that support water conservation, energy efficiency, waste reduction, clean air practices, and responsible chemical use. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency defines sustainability as being based on a simple principle. Everything that we need for our survival and well-being depends either directly or indirectly on our natural environment. To pursue sustainability is to create and maintain the conditions under which humans and nature can exist in productive harmony to support present and future generations. The American Hotel Lodging Association, or AHLA, has established a sustainability committee whose efforts consist of communicating, educating, and advocating on behalf of the hotel industry's various sustainability efforts. They have established four pillars of focus. The energy efficiency pillar is based on increasing energy efficiency to equal a reduction of greenhouse gas emissions and savings on utilities. The water conservation pillar consists of measuring water usage and training staff on appropriate use of water-using equipment, the procurement and installation of low-flow faucets, showers, and toilets, and using reclaimed water for landscape care. In the area of waste reduction, the AHLA has partnered with the World Wildlife Fund to launch the Hotel Kitchen program. Within this program, industry experts came together to implement strategies and practices to reduce food waste in the restaurant and hotel industry. The AHLA saw a 38% reduction in food waste within the first 12 weeks of implementation. If all food-producing businesses implemented these same practices, we would eliminate 500,000 pounds of waste per year. 32% of all plastic packaging finds its way to our oceans every year. Plastic waste is a huge contributor to pollution, wildlife endangerment, and increased greenhouse gases across our globe. Through various initiatives and alternative sourcing, many hotel companies have committed to reducing or completely stopping the use of single-use plastics. The hotel industry has also made strides in recycling and composting appropriate materials. And finally, hotel management and owners should be responsibly sourcing their materials and supplies. Hotels are increasingly concerned about advancing responsible sourcing of products and services. Many hotels are considering suppliers who share a commitment to responsible business practices, try to be forward-thinking, and identify ways to be more sustainable. Why go green? Varying environmental protection groups and advocates have been trying to entice the greater good to adopt sustainable practices at home. This started with the phrase, reduce, reuse, and recycle. In the 1990s, there was a big push to focus recycling and reuse efforts at home between individuals and families. While being environmentally friendly at home makes an impact, it's minimal. In order to reduce the damage that humans have done to the planet, we must place the responsibility on reversing our impact on big business. Unfortunately, with political influence, tax deductions, and general greed, corporate responsibility for safer environmental practices has gone by the wayside. It is only over the last 20 years that the government has stepped in and offered credits to businesses who can meet certain environmental checklists. With this came a slew of environmental, green, water, energy, and waste reduction certifications. Okay, put yourself in the place of a hotel owner. Why should you choose to go green? With any action in business, there must be a benefit and it must support a return on investment. So why should a hotel owner use their own funds to install and implement sustainable practices? Easily said, because the government said so. The government is stepping in and telling big businesses that they must implement policies that protect the environment and reduce their impact. Rebates, refunds, tax credits, and more. This is easily the number one reason an owner will invest in a sustainable practice. They'll be able to participate in varying tax credit or rebate programs. Positive PR is another good reason for a hotel owner to obtain certain green certifications. Investors are aligning themselves with companies that have made stances or set up real programs in the name of sustainability. Guests want to stay at hotels who have policies and programs that support the environment, and it gives the hotel a competitive advantage in their market where other hotels might not care about sustainable practices. And lastly, overall cost. Overall cost savings on purchasing supplies, water, electricity, and gas bills, labor, and waste are another reason why an owner would choose to go green. The housekeeping manager is responsible for understanding the sustainable practices the hotel has put in place. Those practices will need to be communicated to the housekeeping team. Training will be required on any new practices, and the housekeepers will need to have their performance monitored to ensure they are using these sustainable practices efficiently. Most training will require very little capital investment, if any, and will be at the discretion of the housekeeping manager to implement training programs that fit in with the morale and culture of the team. Eco-purchasing requires evaluating purchase practices and products based on their durability, reusability, recyclability, and waste potential, as well as considering the type of packaging products arrive in and the delivery method. Just-in-time buying is a method where the delivery lead time is considered before a replacement order is placed. The housekeeping manager will have to ensure that the inventory counts are accurate and consider how much of each product will be needed based on the hotel's forecasted occupancy. When supplies have hit a certain threshold, the housekeeping manager will know to place a replacement order just in time for their current supplies to be depleted. This method prevents over-ordering and overspending. Overstocking your shelves is never ideal. It is essentially cash sitting on the shelves. Plus, when you are overstocked on supplies, your employees tend to use more just because it is there and they can. Eco-purchasing and just-in-time buying are important concepts for a housekeeping manager to understand and be able to implement. In addition to these concepts, there are other purchasing decisions that the housekeeping manager can make to reduce their spend on supplies as well as reduce their waste. They include purchasing in bulk and concentrate. Cleaning chemicals can be bought as concentrates. Chemical companies such as Ecolab sell their products in bags which connect to a dispenser that is connected to the hotel's water line. This dispenser allows the housekeepers to refill the appropriate reusable bottle when needed. Not only does this cut down on overuse of chemicals, but it also reduces the amount of packaging used in shipping and allows every drop of chemical to be used. Consider the type and amount of packaging supplies are shipped in. If packaging cannot be reused, can you recycle through the hotel's current waste management company? If not, consider asking the supplier to take back their packaging to be used again. Many times, the supplier will take back pallets and crates. Support local business when possible. Purchasing locally not only helps a small business, but also helps your community thrive. Consider purchasing products that are simple to use, simple in design, and require minimal packaging. For example, you don't need to purchase bulk toilet paper where each roll comes individually wrapped. Purchase durable supplies that won't need to be replaced as often. Just because something is cheaper doesn't mean it's better. Research supplies and read user reviews. Consider investing in supplies and equipment that will last longer. Invest in higher quality linen and terry to reduce replacement frequency. We've all stayed at a hotel whose sheets are so thin you can practically see through them. When sheets have considerable wear and tear, it is likely due to overuse, overwashing, and using the wrong laundry detergent, or using bleach on them to try to make them white. Invest in high quality, durable linen and terry that won't wear out too quickly. Also ensure that the laundry attendants know how to use the equipment and understand the appropriate wash and dry cycles and amount of detergent to use per cycle and laundry type. When allowed by ownership, advocate to replace high energy using equipment with Energy Star rated or energy efficient equipment. Lastly, provide recycling receptacles throughout the hotel for both guest and employee use. Work with your waste management company on a cardboard and plastic recycling program. On to water conservation. Developing water conservation initiatives is one of the most effective and easy ways a hotel can save on their water, electricity, sewage, and chemical supply expenses. It comes to no surprise that a hotel guest will use more water in their guest room than they will at home. On average, the typical hotel guest will use 396 gallons of water per day. Imagine the impact this has on the community around the hotel if one room uses almost 400 gallons per day. Certain parts of our country are facing water scarcity, therefore action must be taken now to reduce water use and water waste. So how can a hotel minimize the amount of water they use? One way is through linen reuse programs. With this program, it is key that the hotel communicate clearly to the guests that their linen and terry will not be replaced daily, unless requested or signaled by a dedicated placard in the room. The last thing hotel management wants is an irate guest who is upset their sheets were not changed and they did not get fresh towels. Communication of this program and its benefits are just one element to its success. Linen reuse programs began in the 1990s, where housekeeping would place a card in the bathroom or by the bed, informing the guests that the hotel supports water conservation practices and will not replace linen or terry with new during their stay unless the guest indicates they wish to have these replaced. Instead, housekeeping will make the beds and allow towels to hang dry to be used again. It is important that the hotel also share responsibility in educating its guests about the importance of water conservation with helpful water-saving tips and facts included on the communication piece. Now we are seeing a record number of hotels support linen reuse programs, and even more so since the COVID-19 pandemic. Bathrooms are the next logical area to focus on when it comes to water-saving measures. There are a plethora of companies out there that offer low-flow faucets, toilets, and shower heads. Hotels are now considering these items in their initial design. This investment isn't always more costly than traditional faucets, toilets, and shower heads, especially at the onset of construction. When it comes to laundry, it is very important that the guests responsible for operating the laundry room are properly trained. The laundry attendants should only wash full loads, use the appropriate detergent and amount, ensure that washers and dryers are in working order, and that cycles aren't being overridden to be longer or shorter than they should, and the valves on the equipment are dispensing appropriate amounts of soap. Terry and linen should never be washed together as they require specific cycles and water temperatures. The housekeeping manager can work with their chemical company representative to advise on the best detergents and stain removers that will be the most efficient but safest for the environment. With the implementation of any of these water conservation initiatives, it is key that all employees are trained on the importance of these programs and the practice of them to ensure their success. On to energy conservation. Before we even consider the capital investment a hotel can make into purchasing energy-efficient infrastructure for their hotel, we must first understand that there are easy ways to reduce energy use and expenses without spending any money. This all begins with training and ensuring the housekeeping team understands the importance of following through on these simple items. After a room is clean, whether it is occupied or vacant, all unnecessary equipment must be turned off. This includes lights and the TV. The room temperature should be set to an appropriate temperature. We don't want the room to be too hot or too cold. Depending on the season, the housekeeping manager will provide the team with the ideal temperature. Typically, it is somewhere in the high 60s. In the summertime, the drapes should be closed, and in the wintertime, they should be open to allow for natural heat from the sun. Implementing these small and free changes can save a hotel up to 10% of their energy expense each year. Inspect the doors and windows for unusual drafts, broken locks, or broken seals. Report those issues to maintenance as soon as possible. Now, let's discuss ways a hotel can make investments into the property to reduce their energy consumption and expenses. Replace all incandescent lighting with LED lighting. LED lighting is proven to use less energy, last longer, and safer to use. Use light sensors in public areas where sensible. Install digital programmable thermostats in guest rooms and throughout the hotel when necessary. Install solar panels as an alternative source of energy. Install an energy management system in the hotel to monitor use and adjust when necessary. You've heard them before. Reduce, reuse, and recycle. These are the 3 R's of waste management and the concept behind waste reduction. Efficient waste management programs in a hotel make a difference in the hotel, the hotel's community, and inevitably the environment. A large hotel with various dining outlets and catering services can produce 8 or more tons of waste per day, most of which is food waste in a world where we are food insecure. What is more surprising is 60% of the waste we toss out is recyclable. Before a waste management company program can be implemented, ownership and management need to conduct a waste audit of each operational area. The housekeeping manager will assist with the audit and will be responsible for conducting the audit in the areas in which they oversee. Usually guest rooms, common areas, back of the house, storage areas, and the laundry room are part of the audit. During the audit, each area will be analyzed for the materials and supplies they use. Management will need to determine what is recyclable, what can be reused, and what its life expectancy is, as well as what kind and how much waste is produced from the supplies, and how the hotel currently manages the waste of the supply. From the audit, an analysis is completed to determine whether the property is purchasing wisely and discarding waste appropriately. From there, a waste management plan can be implemented based on the operational area, and each department manager will be responsible for training and implementing the waste management program. Let's start with our first R, reduce. One idea that has captivated hotel companies and become a focus is the stopping of the use of individual soaps and single-use plastics. Think about it. How many of you actually use the full-size 2.5-ounce bottle of soap, shampoo, and conditioner for your one-night stay? And even if you do use the entire bottle, what happens to that bottle when you leave? Housekeeping is not recycling the bottles, and if soap is left over, they are not reusing those bottles, as that would be unsanitary. Instead, they are tossed in the trash and make their way to landfills or the ocean to become microplastics that end up in your food supply. Hotels, corporate hotel chains, and developers have seen a cost savings reduction in their overall supply expense with the installation of tamper-proof soap dispensers in guest rooms. These dispensers can be refilled from larger gallon-sized bottles. While there is an initial investment in the purchase and installation of the dispensers, the cost savings comes from no longer needing to purchase individual soaps and can eliminate guest and employee theft of the smaller bottles of soap. Not only does this eliminate the need to purchase plastic individual bottles of soap, it also frees up storage space in the housekeeping closet and on the housekeeping carts, not to mention the time it saves when conducting inventory counts. No longer will the housekeeping manager need to count tiny bottles of soap for monthly inventory. We all love complimentary bottles of water when we get into our rooms upon arrival. However, this trend contributes to an unsurmountable amount of plastic waste from hotels each year. One solution is that the hotel must provide bottled water, perhaps due to a brand standard or guest loyalty program, is to equip each guest room with receptacles that are specifically intended for recyclable items such as plastic bottles, paper, or cardboard. Another solution is to provide pitchers of water in guest rooms during turn-down service, rather than fresh bottles of water. This same concept can be used in meeting spaces, where pitchers of water or water dispensers are provided to fill up reusable bottles or cups. Additionally, hotels have been encouraged by environmental advocacy groups to discontinue the use of paper and plastic cups in guest rooms. As an alternative, hotels can provide glass cups and train their housekeeping team on proper sanitation and washing of the cups for their next use. We can all agree that gone are the days of a hotel providing a shower cap, Q-tips, and cotton balls in the guest room. One way hotels have been able to reduce their waste output is to only offer these amenity items by request. As discussed on our water conservation slide, another way to reduce waste is to purchase bulk concentrated chemicals that can be mixed through a dispensing system and put into reusable, refillable bottles. And lastly, reduce or eliminate single-use plastics. On to reuse. Stains are inevitable in the hotel industry. Whether it's sheets, towels, carpets, or furniture, you are likely to encounter a stain that just won't budge. Oftentimes, sheets and towels can become stained to the point of no return. While bleach has its purpose, it can be detrimental to linen and terry. Eventually, it will eat through the material, and rather than having a stain, you will end up with a hole, and it will end up in the trash. Instead, stained linen and terry can be used as cleaning materials in the form of rags. These items can also be donated to local animal shelters or people shelters to be given a second life. Food waste is a very big problem around the world, and certainly so in the hotel industry. Organizations like the AHLA, with support of the government, have established programs and procedures for safely donating unused food. Certain packaging from vendors can be returned to the vendor to be used for shipping and packing purposes again. And lastly, recycle. Most importantly, a hotel should be working with their waste management company to recycle cardboard, paper, and plastics. Typically, a hotel will need to procure a dedicated dumpster from their waste management company. There may or may not be additional fees for the dumpster and the pickup of the recycled materials. However, there are incentive programs and discounts available to hotels for partnering with waste management companies on their recycling efforts. When recyclable items are separated from true waste, the number of trash pickups the waste management company needs to fulfill becomes less because the hotel is throwing away less. Not only is the hotel helping the environment by recycling and putting less into landfills, but they are also reducing their waste expenses. We've already talked about providing recycling receptacles in guest rooms and common areas, but another way to promote sustainability and recycling is to purchase supplies, amenities, etc. that are made from recycled materials and can also be recycled or are considered biodegradable. Improving indoor air quality can sometimes come at the risk of increasing energy expenses. Management must make sure that the practices they implement do not take away from the other initiatives they have established to become more sustainable and environmentally friendly. However, air quality is especially important, especially today, considering the ability of viruses and contaminants to rapidly spread indoors. One way to reduce air pollutants is to ensure that dust is minimal and areas where dust can become highly concentrated are checked and cleaned frequently. This would include air intakes and air outtakes, the tops of furniture that may not be visible at the eye level, ceiling fans, and light fixtures. It is wise to consider these routine projects and assign them to the housekeeping team during periods of low occupancy. If a hotel has a PTAC unit instead of centralized air conditioning, it is important that the PTAC units are routinely cleaned and inspected by maintenance. At the same time, the housekeeper should be inspecting the vents and cleaning filters upon each room service. The maintenance department will be responsible for ensuring the HVAC system is inspected and on a routine maintenance schedule. Proper ventilation also reduces the growth of mold and mildew. All right, let's move on to green certifications. What is LEED certification? LEED stands for Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design. LEED certification buildings must adhere to a set of criteria in order to be awarded a certification. The criteria required address carbon, energy, water, waste, transportation, materials, health, and indoor environmental quality. There are different levels of LEED certification. Each criteria has a certain number of points. As the building meets the criteria, their points and levels of certification increase. In order to continue their certification, they must maintain the programs they put in place under the criteria. LEED's goal is to construct buildings that will reduce their overall contribution to global climate change, protect and restore water sources, promote sustainable and regenerative material cycles, protect and enhance biodiversity and the ecosystem, contribute positively to human health, and improve the quality of life. Buildings, whether they are homes, apartments, hotels, offices, skyscrapers, etc., all consume an enormous amount of energy and natural resources and inevitably impact the environment and communities they are in. LEED establishes a framework of building sustainable buildings that reduce the negative impact of the environment. What is a Green Seal? Green Seal is a global nonprofit organization. Green Seal sets rigorous standards for health, sustainability, and product programs. Their initiatives are designed to provide sustainable and safer products and practices to the facilities they certify. Green Seal's mission creates a healthier, greener world by having society healthy and in balance with nature. The Green Seal certification ensures that products or services meet their performance, health, and environmental criteria, which are backed by science-based standards. The certificate validates a company's sustainability leadership and helps consumers make educated purchasing choices with the environment in mind. Take a moment to review the next 2 slides for this week's assignment. If you need more time to review those slides, the deck is available in Blackboard. You can download it. And as a reminder, all of my notes are on each slide. I hope you all have a wonderful week. I hope you found sustainability interesting, and I hope that you all think about the ways that you use and throw away things. And I hope that you make at least one change that can be better for your home, better for yourself, or better for the environment. As a challenge this week, I ask that you extend one act of kindness to someone else or your environment. It's not a requirement. I'll probably ask you about it later on. But again, I just want you to think about the environment and keep that in mind when you're making your decisions. I hope you all have a great week, and I will see you next week.